Hey, 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 another big day at Patriot Excel. Johnny Thunder and Chris Greenman ready to rock and roll, baby. What's going on, Chris?
Hey man, not much. Just the congressional hearing today, with with probably the best witness that they've had on the committee all during this last 6 months. But
Hats off to
oh
Bobulinski.
yeah, exactly. So let's just see a little bit of it. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but you
Let's
know,
give our take. Give the Chris Greenman take.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, man. Let's do that. So here we go.
Do we want to unload your new song?
Oh yeah, let's do that first. I'm sorry, let's do that first.
Okay.
Knowledge breaking the chains, time to listen up as he breaks down the game. Listen up, y'all. I got a story to tell about a man named Chris. He's ringing the bell on his Patriot Excel show. He's spitting the facts, telling the truth, cutting through all the acts. He's exposing the lies, shedding light on the dark, unmasking the secrets, leaving his mark with intellect and passion.
Man, I
He's
love
on
that
a
song,
mission to wake up the world without permission. Chris Greenman.
Chris Greenman.
I mean,
I'll
I'm
just
kind of
carry. I'll carry
biased.
on the bars from here. Okay.
I'm kind of biased because it happens to say my name quite a bit, but it's just a good song. It could be a hit. You never know.
I'll work
Anyways,
it. I'll work in maybe and his friend sort of in the background. Johnny Thunder. I don't know. We'll figure that
we're
one
gonna
out.
on our 100th show, we're gonna have to reveal your real name and your true identity.
Capitol Hill this morning, where the House Oversight Committee will hear from two former Hunter Biden business partners, one of them giving testimony from prison. This hearing is looking into whether or not President Biden abused his power of public office.
Of course he did.
The president's son declined to attend today's hearing, but has said his father, who was then Vice President Biden, never made any money off of his business dealings. House Republicans want to see if his former associates have evidence against that claim. Tom Dempsey has more from Washington. Tom, the White House told the House to drop impeachment inquiries last week, but today it seems like just a brand new chapter of it all is beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Marky. This morning, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says this impeachment inquiry has reached the point of possible criminal referrals. And with today's hearing, we expect to hear not only from a man currently behind bars, but also a former aide to Rudy Giuliani who spent time in jail and has called on lawmakers to drop this investigation. Of course, this whole impeachment inquiry revolves around allegations that then Vice President Joe Biden made money from his son Hunter's business dealings while in office. House Republicans say today's hearing will focus on alleged discrepancies between Hunter Biden's deposition last month and testimony from business associates. Chairman Comer says the hearing will also focus on evidence President Biden allegedly lied about his involvement. Two names to keep in mind with testimony today. Tony Bobulinski once worked with Hunter Biden during a venture with a Chinese energy company. He'll likely talk about referencing a 10% cut for, quote, the big guy in an email. House Republicans believe the big guy to be President Biden. Jason Galanis will also testify remotely from a prison as he serves time for.
All right, so we
Interesting testimonies. A guy from a prison and another guy that was busted, and then a guy that's a good businessman in the middle.
right, and so the problem with Babinski is that he's
Bobulinski.
yeah. I'm sorry about the name pronunciation, but he's a very credible witness. His whole family's been in the military. Every one of them has served. He has no blemish in his background whatsoever. You know, you run anybody's background, you're gonna find a bunch of crap. On him, you can't find anything. The guy's a straight arrow, and he's not one to ever have done any kind of misrepresentation of anything. He's just a straight arrow, man. He's like Johnny Boy Scout, and he's just saying that he's just trying to tell the truth. He's not Republican, he's not Democrat. He just wanted to say the truth. But the fact that President Biden was involved with that transaction with the oil company. So um, it's it's really like their best witness about him lying, numerous about President Biden lying numerous times, and the crimes that he actually did do that are impeachable.
A lot of,
Um,
lot of deflecting and a lot of how can we say looking for plausible deniability. Like, don't say this around my dad or whatever. So we can say
right.
we never said this.
Yeah.
Plausible
I mean,
deniability. right? I
They
mean, just like,
have, yeah, exactly. They have the actual tapes. That's the part they have the text messages. They have the tapes. They have all the evidence. It's overwhelming. But here's the thing. This is what I want everyone to think about in this segment is why haven't they impeached him yet? Okay, it's not hard to figure out. I'm a Republican. I'm pretty sure you are. So so yeah, I'm all for the Judicial Committee but why haven't they impeached him? And it's quite simple. There's two reasons. One, they don't want Kamala Harris as president, right? And number two, they don't have the votes. So the only reason why they're doing this, in my opinion, is that they just want to expose the truth to the American people, which the American people are already understanding this because all the recent polls show Trump leading in every poll there is. So that's really what the focus is what they're trying to do. In my belief, that's what they're trying to do. I don't know what you think.
it's interesting because one lady made a point. I watched the testimony, I didn't keep everybody's name, but she kind of pointed out, like, hey, you guys tried to do this before and it went to a dead end, and here we are doing more of it. So is there going to be anything conclusive? I will say Bobulinski was a tremendous witness.
Yeah.
He was very sharp. He was prepared. He was a businessman. He knew what's up. He knew how these people were going to try to provoke him. When you see these people, they like, I take my time back. They don't let you finish an answer. They leave you with half an answer floating, like, see, you're stupid, haha. I take back my time. You can't say anything. I mean, that's kind of like their game. And it's like sound bites, and it's just all trying to color the picture ugly. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Devalue. Go ahead.
Like ASO or
AOC, yeah. USO, yeah. AOC. I know
I never like to recognize her name, man, but she was just getting a little ridiculous. So let's go ahead and check this, Mr. Bobulinski. It's a cool last name.
Name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption statutes, RICO and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir?
You
Specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is the
It's a category of crimes that you're then charged
You
under
have charges.
a long 100
You
list
have
of
charges. Sir, please
Want me to name the exact statute under RICO?
Yes.
Well, it's funny. In this committee room, everyone's not here. There's over 18
All right, sir. I reclaim my time.
lawyers that
I
went to
reclaim
law
my
school.
time. I
I'll leave
reclaim
it
my
up to
time.
you guys
Okay,
to
thank
define
you,
the
sir. I
statute
reclaim my
under
time.
RICO.
Clearly, what we are seeing here today is a continuation of the 15-month saga of the Republican majority lost in the desert. Impeachment 101. The majority party, or whomever is raising impeachment, must accuse the president of a high crime, a specific high crime or misdemeanor. I would like to submit to the record HRES 918, the House resolution to open this impeachment inquiry.
Without objection to order.
This resolution does not outline a high crime or misdemeanor. It's not here. Now, when we compare the chairman's opening from his previous opening, he's talking about Ukraine and Burisma and all of this. This entire inquiry is based on a blockbuster piece of information that was in a classified SCIF room. And inside that room was a document alleging President Biden directly of a $10 million bribery scheme, a $10 million bribery scheme.
Well, she said it best, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing that up, because that's exactly what.
That's what.
That's what
So,
we're talking
Chris,
about.
you get the legal background. What was the game she was playing with? I reclaim my time. Like, tap, tap, no races. You can't talk. And he was getting to the point. Was he getting to the point? And she really had no rebuttal for it.
So she didn't have a point, but everybody like on those committees has a time limit. The chairman's supposed to adhere to that, and it's kind of different. It's not like a court case where a court case, you can object or sustain. You have a judge that's making a decision. The chairman in that case is mostly in control of the time, so you're basically just presenting all this stuff. And so what she's kind of saying, what I think what she was trying to get at is that she wanted a specific crime, and there definitely are specific crimes, and the special counsel that they just finished with Biden said that he did stuff that was illegal, but he didn't have the capacity to, for them to charge him. Which, why should he be president? Great question. But so she was just trying to get him to stick to something because they have not actually done the impeachment yet. They haven't enacted the impeachment yet, and that's the problem. And I actually, although I don't have a lot of fondness for AOC. I mean, and not that she was bringing this point up, but I, just like I said at the beginning, I do question why they haven't tried to impeach. And I think it's just because to get some airtime, because the biased news is flooding with all this other information. It's kind of their platform to kind of even the playing field. I think the Republicans are doing that because they know they don't have the majority, that they're not going to get an impeachment. Just like when they impeached Trump, they weren't going to impeach him because of the same thing. So it's going to go nowhere. And yes,
Just go through the motions,
yeah,
theatrics, days of our lives,
right.
Falcon crest of the White House. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. Okay.
Who
So
shot who shot JR?
yeah, exactly. Those that can remember that, it's a good episode of Dallas. But the thing is, at the end of the day, the thing you have to the thing is, do we as say Republicans or people that go that way, do you want Kamala being your president? I mean, is it going to be better? Or
You know what? Without not wanting to get hit by the old YouTuber, couple guys used to know her back in the day when they worked in SF. Said she was up to some mischievous things, but we won't put those to light, so that's okay. That's all we know. We've heard some allegations.
This guy is actually legit. Why would he say this about our current president? And why is our president worth millions and millions of dollars when he doesn't make more than $200,000 a year? I mean,
I think they make 400 as a president.
And that just changed. That just changed not long ago. So it
was 250 at one time.
Yeah.
I don't know what the vice president was making, but the president was like 450.
Yeah. So how's he a multi-millionaire if he's not corrupt?
I mean, we could go down the line on a lot of politicians. How do these people become expert stock picking son of a guns and get worth, like, hey, Pelosi, her husband's like a phenom, what I mean? And other people like that. There's many more on both sides of the aisle. And
there's Republicans. I'm not saying that. You're right. But there's only been one president in the history of the United States that has lost pretty much half his net worth at the end of his presidency. And who do you think that is?
Oh, Trump.
100%. 100%.
Right.
So who signs up for that? Hey, I'm going to be president of the United States and lose half my wealth.
Oh, some people get the big book tour and $100,000 speeches to show up at your college and,
I mean,
put a signature, sign women's T-shirts at the rock concert.
I don't think that he's going to be eating at TV dinners or anything, Trump. But I mean, he did lose a lot of money if it's all relative to what you have, and he's definitely going to lose a lot. So I mean, that's a huge thing. I mean, I think. I mean,
let's
it shows
connect
you where
the dots.
His motive wasn't to make money. That's very clear.
It wasn't a profitable thing for him. It wasn't going to be. So let's connect the dots for a second. People come into office, or as a senator or a governor or mayors, different, political appointed situations and, governmental, and they end up richer than when they started, way beyond their salary. They become lobbyists is what was being given in the speech. There's one lady that spoke up. I don't remember her name exactly in that whole interview I watched. It was like quite a long watch. And she was like, hey man, we need to change this where you can't just get out in a year from now and become a lobbyist and make millions of dollars. So yeah, you're making 200, 150, 280, you know what I mean? And
that's what they're trying to change. That's what those are the kind of what they're, that's what they're trying to do.
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. This is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. Ideological.
Yes. And that is a home run hitter right there. That's what we've been dealing with. Let's connect the dots. That's what I wanted to bring up to you.
Okay, let's connect.
Why is everybody concerned about Biden taking a bribe? Is it the money? No. Is it something else? Like we talked about the subversion, where if you can take money from a foreign country and your job is to stay sovereign and away from that, and that you accept it, that means that you're bribable. That means you're corruptible. It's just like a CIA or KGB spy looking for somebody to turn into a double agent or a source, and how they go about it. They look for someone they can turn out, whether it be by blackmail, by kidnapping, by bribery, by any cause they can do to leverage you. I mean, now with AI, they can make everybody look like they're having an affair. That's kind of beside the point. The old black and white pictures. We gotcha. We get black and white pictures. We're going to take away your office and get this big envelope. Oh, I'm done. Like in those old 1980s movies. That's kind of over. But it's more about, can somebody get control over our president? And do we see that being implemented? Because it's been such a weird time since the beginning of the pandemic till now, where all these green energy companies, we've never seen so much mass on electricity and stuff, they have some strings attached with this ESG money. This money has to, you know about ESG money?
Yeah, of course.
So you understand that what's attached to that equity, diversity, you get loans if you have somebody that does that, like an HR person in your company, and trains and feeds people this stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
Right. So you can only get that money if you do this. You have to make a concession, right?
Yep, exactly. And that's
the
problem.
That's the problem. So
Right.
we're looking at somebody that could be bribed, and we're looking at stuff that's being implemented that's affecting our economy with strings attached, and which makes it really hard to shake off this woke movement that's attacking America from all sides.
Yeah, and that's kind of the segment you brought up, and that's why that guy made a lot of sense to me, because it's kind of obvious if you really sit back and just think about it, of what's going on. And that's, people just aren't aware. People are good with being complacent, and that's the problem, I think.
You're born with rules. You're born with the rules of your parents. You're born with the rules of the police on the street. You're born with the rules of the school you go to, the rules of the classroom. When you go to college, there's rules on campus. You join the military, there's rules. You become a cop, there's rules on the rules, and you get to dictate the rules about the rules.
Right.
And before you know it, how much have you ever had any free critical thinking in your life? Or are you just living reactively to whatever they feed you?
Exactly. So maybe that's our challenge for our 3 listeners, that is to dive into doing some critical thinking and not take the easy explanation out, but challenge one that you have to actually think about. And I think that could be the best advice, because unless you question things, people are okay with just being complacent. Oh, that's okay. Oh, it'll be okay. Oh, it'll be all right.
Do you think people just don't have the strength to resist? Like,
I think it takes a certain personality. Look at the people that like Trump. I think there was some study that 85% of Trump supporters are A personality. You can't really argue that. It's like, you can't argue it, really.
No, you can't. But it's also people that believe in meritocracy, like you work for what you get,
And I think people that are pro-American, man. It's about, I just want pro-America. I don't want to have our news censored, which it obviously is. I don't want our elections censored, which it was. And I'll argue with anybody who wants to come on the show about how it was censored, and how
Right.
Trump lost because nothing was allowed out. the Facebook and all the way that all these people get their news, they censored everything, and the government worked at Facebook and Twitter. Elon Musk proved this. Elon Musk bought Twitter to prove that this happened, and he did. And
Yeah.
that can't be disputed. Okay, no one can dispute that or argue it. It was done, and of course that affected the election 2 weeks before. Are you freaking kidding me? That's what
You know,
that's yeah.
you're
Go on.
100% right, Chris. I don't really have a big point to make on top of that. I wanted to let you speak more because I've been hogging the mic. But I do think that a lot of stuff people live reactively. All the news comes out, the prices are growing. This has happened. This has happened. There's nothing but nothing negative. If you talk with a lot of people, notice what your conversation is. How much of it is negative? How much of it is actually positive? Do you have any optimism left? Check those things. Make sure you focus on your optimism because it might be fleeting. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. Yeah.
What about you, the people that you meet day to day?
I mean, I'll tell you what. Every day I wear a shirt that says something like "Joe Biden's an idiot," "Joe Biden sucks," something like that. I just haven't worn one on the show yet because they're dirty. I haven't done my wash, but you know, but I do, and people are like, some people come up and they'll be like, "Oh my God, I really like your shirt." They'll whisper to me, and I'll say, "Why are you whispering? Just tell me." No one's gonna do anything to you because they're afraid to talk. They're afraid to say something because if they support Trump, somehow that makes them like racist or something else. That's just stupid, you know? And or I'll get people that say, "I love your shirt," or I'll get some, big buff, wrestler guy who go, "Hey man, I love your shirt, man," and I'll be like, "Cool, cool." But it's like there are the people I can tell like the other personality types, and there'll be some like housewife lady, and she'll be like, "Hey, I really like your shirt." She'll whisper and she'll look around, like that, make sure no one's looking, and that's what you don't want. You don't want
Right.
you don't want that. You want people saying, "Man, I love your shirt, great thing, party on, give me a bump." That's what you want. So
Right.
it's
It's
just it's the American. We've raised a generation. This last generation, I tell you, because I saw my daughter and her friends, and they're just a bunch of like wimps, man. I mean,
yeah.
everything they got everything. Their baby boomer parents bought them everything they ever needed. They didn't, they were all playing video games. They're not out. When I was a kid, we went and played football every day. Every day we were playing freaking tackle football and some games where you tackle the guy that catches the ball. I can't name the names because now we'll probably get we'll probably censor it. But there's
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. Where you
Yeah.
throw the
Yeah.
football up in the air, the guy catches it, and everyone
Yeah. Knock the crap out of him. The knock the crap out of the guy game. I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, try to
Yeah.
play that game now. And they go, "Oh my God, you might get hurt." Shut up. You're supposed to get hurt. You're a kid.
There was something about toughness. The generation before us was even tougher than us.
100. Oh yeah, 100%.
They're like, I
100%.
used to walk 20 miles to school, kid. And then we're like, well, yeah, I get a car. They're like, you get a
Yeah,
car? I didn't get one until I was 35. It's like you hear from your grandpa talking, I didn't get one of those till I was 42. You
yeah.
wimp. You
It
should walk
didn't
22 miles to work.
it didn't snow where I lived. Sorry you had to walk, you dumbass.
Well, I mean, now we're becoming the older guy. When we were kids, parents were like, he's wearing tight jeans. He has long hair and a mullet. He's disgusting. This is our youth. They like heavy metal. It's the music of the devil. Okay.
Yeah.
It was just a bunch of people that were playing on that, making money. They figured it out, making some lyrics, trying to sound tough. And then, now they look kind of silly. Now that you look back at what the heavy metal was, it doesn't
Oh
seem
God.
as cool as it was when you were a kid. So
Well, I never was into it, but
yeah. Well, I think that this next generation is not going to think what they're doing is very cool when they look back at it. I think they're going to go through this cycle and they're going to go, oh, dude, what were we thinking? And all of a sudden, a whole different culture pops up from that because it can't sustain. Go ahead.
no, you're right. It can't sustain. And age is one of those things where as you get older, that's the thing. You can be the smartest guy in the world. You can skip every grade and you can get in college when you're 7. But the one thing you'll never ever have, and you can't have, it's not possible to have, is wisdom.
Yeah.
Because experience gives you wisdom. You have to have experience along with smartness, if you would. Okay. I mean, I did a bunch of, college. I went to law school, all this crap. That doesn't make me smart. It doesn't make me, I'm sorry, it doesn't make me wise. It just means that I have some education, right? But
Right.
by no means does it make me wise. The only your life experiences and your experiences in business and everything else makes you a wise person. So every time you can grab someone older and pick their brain, it's a good idea to do that, because they're going to be more wise than you, most likely, in a lot of instances. So
It,
I think you're right about that generation. Once they get a little older and get more life experience, they're going to maybe change a little bit. But yeah.
I mean, are we focused like, okay, today we're just going deeper, and then that rest of our stuff will probably be pop-up headlines like we normally do and go into it a bit. But realistically, we're getting to the root cause. Whether you catch this episode or not, and you decide and you come back after you get hooked on the show 50 episodes from now, and then you back watched everything in a binge watch. Here's the deal: we were waiting for you with this episode, and basically, what we're trying to say here is that people are different now. There's more technology. Everything's so automatic. And I read a good book by the same guy that wrote The Game, the pickup artist book, Neil Strauss. He wrote a book called those guys all ended up being unhappy because they could trick a girl to going out with them, but then the girls would leave because they realized, oh, that was just a trick. You're not the real thing. So that was the end of the end of that movie. But it was a great book. But the funny part is he wrote a great book called Emergency. And Emergency was about a guy that grew up in Chicago, lived in one of these nice high-rise condos, would take an elevator down to the deli and get a sandwich and, go to school, go to library, go to the park, come home. He had no idea what it took to hunt the food, shoot the animal, skin the animal, and fight for his life. So he went out on a quest and he did everything. He went in this campground with a tracker and learned to find animals in the woods. So he became self-sufficient. And then he learned how to shoot and kill an animal, which disgusted him. He went and became a paramedic and then saved people when an emergency happened and he get blood on his hands. He went and put himself into that more alpha masculine danger territory to kind of like say, wake up, I become a softball, I need to get out there. So it was pretty cool to see that the guy had guts and he did that and some martial arts and stuff. He just trying to he didn't become a world champion or nothing, but he went out and pushed himself to feel that. And I don't think this generation has felt that. I feel like if we had a campground and we made people hike and walk and play basketball and no phones and locked it all down and it just made it 1980s. Here's a boom box with a cassette.
They'd go nuts, dude.
You think they'd freak out?
I don't think they could handle it. I think it would cause you talk about all the mental problems that happened during COVID. You do that and mental problems would freaking come out of everywhere. It'd be nuts, dude. I'm not, you know what? I'm not saying that if all of a sudden you said, hey, there's no more phones, we're going back to you have to go put a quarter or a dime or whatever the hell in the
analog
phone. I don't know what the hell I'd do either. I mean, honestly, but
really?
but at least I have the ability to know that it's okay and I can deal with it. I can read a map to know how to get somewhere. This generation would be lost, dude. You'd have cars sitting in the middle of intersections because they wouldn't know where the heck to go. and I mean, that's what happened. That would happen in a heartbeat,
I'd go get on my BMX bike and do a wheelie, bro.
So would I.
And I'd get my Walkman. Yeah, and I'd get my mixtape.
And you wouldn't switch gears because there's no gears. There's one gear, and so there's no electric bike. You'd have to actually use your legs to get up the hill. Funny story, real quick. Where I live now, there's a big hill to go up from the beach. And so when I first moved here, I go to the beach, go surf, whatever, and then come back up. But even though I worked out all that crap, I could not make it up this hill without stopping on the bike because my legs would just give out.
Right.
So every day I said, I'm going to get to the top of that hill. I'm going to get to that top of that hill. And then finally after like, I don't know, 2 months, I could power through it. And I'm like, yeah, man. Because everyone walks it. Every time you go there, everyone's walking up this hill, right? Because it's just too much. So I made it, put my hands in the air like Rocky did. And I'm like, yeah. And then I went out and bought an electric bike.
How much does electric bike help? I have a super pretty cool electric bike myself.
I got a 2,000 watt one that freaking flies like 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think mine will do like 30 or something. That's like 1,600.
20. Yeah, pretty good. Yours will go 28. It's 1,500. It'll go 28. And this thing will go. This thing goes 35. It's at 2,000. But now I just go. I pass up all those people trying to ride up the hill. I'm like, you dumb. See, that concludes my point of being wiser.
But also, it also gives into the reason why humans are becoming softer, mushy people. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, what are you gonna do? Good.
I know I should be climbing up the hill with a regular bike, dude. That's way better for me.
Yeah, but I mean, I have one too. I
it's-
rode one. I rode an electric bike. And I'm like, this is great because I went and tried to get back. I was out of shape and I tried to get back on a regular bike. Like, this is horrible. Then I get on an electric bike. I
yeah,
tried one out.
well, that's probably the problem with humanity, man. We keep on making things easier and easier. It's going to make us less and less adaptable, you know.
Oh,
And when you rely all on electronic technology, there's a big EMP, man. This society's done. So
yeah. What are you going to do if there's an EMP and then your electric bike is gone?
yeah, you're done.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. EMP. Why haven't we seen one?
Let's save that topic because that's a great topic to talk about because we're behind the eight ball on that one as the U.S. is, and I know that for a fact. As
Yeah.
compared to like Russia, Russia's way superior to us now, and that's the first thing they're going to do, and that will kill 80% of your population within a year.
Oh, you talk about taking away the power grid?
Yeah, it'll. There's been studies by Harvard and everyone else. Your population, 80 to 90% of your population will die the first year.
Well, I mean, there's just also studies if you have a blackout within a week or something like that,
Right.
a huge swath of people will be going gone or crazy and resort to, at what point do you resort to desperation? At what point do you run out of options, right?
I got 6 months, so you can come over to my house. I have 6 months worth of food. I got more guns than probably.
Yeah, Chuck Norris.
Yeah, we're good there. And I got the food and the converting the water, like rain water to clean water, and I got all that stuff. But that's gonna buy me like 6 months. That's it. So
Yeah, I get like 3 months worth,
yeah,
but I
no,
could have more. It's funny. You buy emergency survival food because I was looking at because I live like there's hurricanes sometimes.
yeah,
I was like, you know what? This food's actually gone up in value because food gets so expensive at the grocery store that this $900 survival package
it's
for
got a
3
10-year
months.
doesn't it have I
Yeah.
think it's like a 10-year lifespan, right? So
That's the only way you can buy equity in food is buy emergency survival food.
well,
It
you can
might all
always
be
sell-
powdered
you can sell-
soup,
You can sell to China, I mean,
right?
and make money. So
Yeah, sell them my food. That's like, here, come get it.
yeah,
We are in a crazy time, people. Me and Chris went on a tangent, but our next show is going to be killer. It's just that we get off to a late start.